Hello, this is the TradeSite U.S. Stocks and Futures Market Preview and Domestic Economic Data Roadmap for the shortened week beginning Tuesday, the 4th of September 2018, ending Friday the 7th. Again, Monday is the Labor Day holiday here in the U.S., so markets are closed and there will be no economic data. So we'll just focus on the other 4 days. Let's go through where we're at with the daily charts, then we'll look at the intra-week action from last week. Then we'll talk about the data that's coming out in the week ahead. There's a couple of big numbers. Here's a look at the ES front month futures contract. This is the daily chart of the broad market and futures form. Remember that August historically, even though it's a light volume month, the big traders are away. That takes the shorting pressure off the market because a lot of professionals are big, or a lot of the big traders are professionals and they're shorters. So August is historically one of the most up months of the year, and it was this last month. September, on the other hand, is the only month of the year that averages a negative return in the stock market. So keep that in mind as we head into September and the budget negotiations that happen every year at the federal level. So the ES, very close to highs, made new highs 2 days ago, new closing high on the ES. But again, now you're heading into September, people start to come back and things start to happen. Here's a look at crude oil, down 35 cents, kind of mid-range for the last 6 months. Not at that 75 area that it was at back in June or July. If we avoided hurricanes for the year, which we still have time, besides the one in Hawaii, we still have time for more, but obviously that drives some prices up, and that hasn't happened this year. Crude oil, gold up a buck, but near lows. S&P cash index on a Friday heading into a 3-day weekend. What do you think? Yeah, that's right. Not even up a point, up 0.39 on the S&P cash. That's exactly what you would have expected on that Friday. And the NASDAQ, which is obviously a more expensive index, up 11.88. That's a blip as well. The SOX up 8.03, not at all-time highs. The biotech's up 2.05. That is a new all-time high on the biotechs. The VIX down 67 cents to 1286. Trend closes at 1.22. Puts the 10-day moving as at moving average at 1.15. Nasdaq volume 1.8 billion, the lightest of the week. The week had some better volume a couple of days, but overall it was not very good on Friday. We knew that was coming. Advanced decline ratio on the Nasdaq plus 595 means 595 more stocks up than down. On the New York plus 243. Google loses $22.64. Not quite to a 13 sell signal, but it was at 11. A couple days up would get it to 13, and that's not good for Google. On the other hand, Apple nowhere near any kind of signal, but it's up $2.60 to new all-time highs. Netflix down $3.30. Amazon up $10.33, also at new closing highs. Tesla down $1.49. Came near highs just a couple weeks ago, or was at highs just a couple weeks ago. Now it's down. TLT, the 20-year bond ETF, down 28 cents. Goldman Sachs down $1.59. This thing really hasn't done much all year for Goldman Sachs. Facebook down $1.91. All right, let's look at the intra-week action. So this is 5 minutes. I'm going to switch this to 10-minute candles so we can see the whole week. And, again, we gapped up Monday, went a little higher, but the afternoon dead flat. Remember, nobody's around the afternoons of the last week of August. Tuesday gapped up, filled the gap, dead flat. Wednesday, small gap up that did fill exactly to the tick and then went higher and then, again, flat for the last 5 hours. Thursday, small gap down that never quite filled. It was basically flat all day. Then the news came out about the new tariffs against China. We dropped on that, and that took us back to being about even for the last 3 days. Friday, small gap down, filled and went higher, came back down, closed even. So the only thing we really did, I mean, if you look at it, at one point we were still trading essentially where we opened Monday, almost a couple points up on the S&P. We never filled that gap, though, from last Friday. That's below. On the NASDAQ side, evidently the chart's just not going to load. So I don't know what that's all about. But it wasn't much different. We've had a pretty flat week and, a couple of exciting days, but, not what we like to see overall in the markets. So what does that mean for the week ahead? Well, again, Monday we're closed for Labor Day. And then we're out of summer. And usually at some point after this, things start to pick up. It might not be immediate. We've got the bank holiday Monday. We've got final manufacturing and ISM manufacturing PMI numbers Tuesday. Construction spending and ISM manufacturing prices. At some point, the IBD tip economic optimism number and total vehicle sales, usually at the end of the day. On Wednesday, we've got trade balance. That's a big number an hour before the bell. More important to Forex than stocks and futures typically, though. On Thursday, challenger job cuts, ADP non-farm employment change, revised non-farm productivity, revised unit labor costs, the weekly, initial, and continuing jobless claims numbers. Final services PMI 15 minutes in. Manufacturing PMI and factory orders 30 minutes in. Natty gas an hour in. Crude oil inventories an hour and a half in because it's not going to be on Wednesday due to the Monday holiday. And Friday, just as importantly, probably the most important number of the week, the unemployment rate and the non-farm payrolls number. And that's an hour before the bell. We start to come out. These Fridays will be a little more important once you start to come out of summer, and that is what we're doing. So let's just pay attention to action, volume. We start to get more range in the mornings, start to get things moving again. That's what we like to see, and that's always a good sign for traders. So that's the goal. Charts, as usual, brought to you by eSignal. Have a great Labor Day weekend. If you've not taken a trial of our services, feel free to do so. We will help you out for a couple weeks.